Get $50 instantly when you play $5 when you use the promo code presented by Prize Picks. Welcome to Light Years. You know, just another November game.
Just a regular season game.
Just another November game. Okay, am I insane, or did that have playoff game intensity?
I tweeted it right after the first quarter ended. Absolute playoff intensity from the jump. I mean, obviously Chase was rocking, and we all know why. You know, Klay's coming back, and it was a special night in a lot of ways. I think it was going to be a special night, no matter what happened, no matter how the game ended.
Yeah.
But it from the moment tip off happened, it was rocking in that arena, and it was the speed of that game was something that you basically only see in the playoffs or in like a super important late regular season game. You know, where teams are vying for playoff position. That was real hoops tonight, man. That was real hoops. That was one of the most fun regular season basketball games I've watched in a very, very long time.
We're recording this live on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit subscribe. Also, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. We want to take some live callers on the second half of the show. So if you want to call in, we want to hear your thoughts. Do we start on Klay or do we start on that ending? Because as with all things Warriors, I feel like 30 just always steals the show, and it's the freshest thing on my mind right now. It's hard for me to think of anything else that matters.
I feel like we have to start with that. We got to start with Steph, and we got to start with Draymond too. We were talking about this a little bit offline. To me, they are a top 5 duo in the history of the NBA, and that might sound insane. That might sound insane, and I think Steph said it perfectly at the end of the game during his interview with Ali LaForce. You know, she was saying, you know, he went on a personal 10-0 run, 12-0 run, whatever it was. But he said, you know, I'm just trying to make plays for my team. But at the end of the day, don't forget what Draymond's doing on the other end of the floor. That block on Gafford when they're up 1, there is a couple guys in the history of the league who can make that play. And one of their names is Draymond Green. He was spectacular tonight. They were both unbelievable. And this is where, like I said it on the last pod, if you get these guys to the dance, I'm not taking anybody over them. I'm just not. I never will.
No, the recipe is Steph, Draymond, and versatility around them. Usually you like to have a second option mixed in there too. Right now it's really just those two guys of versatility, but damn, they're dangerous. I have thoughts all over the place on this. Like,
same.
This game meant a lot to those two specifically. I don't even think they were hiding it at the end. I don't think they were hiding it at the end. They wanted to beat Klay badly. They're not going to throw him under the bus, but it's so obvious there's a little resentment towards the way it ended and kind of the way he handled himself. And it's one of those things where when it's someone you've been close with for a long time, you kind of want to beat their ass more than someone else. And that's kind of the vibe I got from it. Like, they've been trying to play nice for a while. Did you see Steph's face at the end of it? Like, they're not hiding it in any capacity. The way they played also, just like, look, man, I don't see them bringing that kind of energy in a November game normally.
That's a level of like the intensity, and then like the celebration afterwards. Steph made a couple big shots, and after Draymond's block, that stuff you only see in like a big playoff game. The way they reacted to those plays, and what it really comes down to, you know, when it got reported that Steph wasn't going to speak before the game for Klay, I put out a tweet saying, hey, you know, like there's been a little bit more tension than there's probably been let on in public, and people were like, oh my, like, you know, do they hate Klay? No, they don't hate him at all, but it's a sibling rivalry thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think anybody can relate to this. You go through ups and downs with people in your family, and that's kind of where they're at right now. They don't hate Klay at all, but they absolutely wanted to stick it to him. And Klay has a little bit of that little brother syndrome, you know, and you always want to be like me and my own little brother were talking about this before the game even tipped off. Mm-hmm. He has massive, massive little brother vibes, and they definitely wanted to beat little brother tonight.
And it's been the whole off season too. Like, we'll talk about Klay the whole way, and I've had the same take all off season. He's gonna get a statue. He's a revered member of the dynasty. That doesn't mean this year isn't going to be a little awkward. There isn't going to be a little like you just kind of want to shove it to them a little bit. You kind of got to just get over that a little bit. Like we all know in the big picture, we're going to forget about this and just remember Game 6 in 2016 and all that fun stuff. Anyway, with that said, it's like the whole like, we're just here for a business trip and like all that sort of stuff that just it adds a little to it. And yeah, it's to your point. Sometimes it's hardest with the people you're closest to, and they've been through a lot with each other. So, man, that was fun. Sign me up for more of these games. I don't think you can really manufacture this type of thing versus anyone else in the league, but this was awesome November basketball, and yeah,
it felt like a throwback in a way to how important like some of those 90s games were, like NBA on NBC type of thing, where it's like there's real like, I don't know if hatred's not the right word, but like real passion. You know what I mean? And I felt like over the course of the day, the league built the story right for once. You know what I mean? Like they were pumping out Klay content on socials that like they made a day out of it. And like the storyline mattered tonight. And if the NBA can continue to do things like that, I think we will get more and more regular season games like this. That was, like I said, when we opened, that was the most fun I've had watching a regular season game. Like maybe since, and this might be insane, but it might be hyperbole, but maybe since like the early dynasty years. I can't remember the last time I had that much fun during a November basketball game.
That was awesome. You talked Draymond off the top. I mean, he was everywhere. The contest he had on Klay that had Klay shoot it off the side of the backboard, and it was either the first or second quarter. It was in the first half of the game for sure. Yeah. It reminded me of like 25, 26-year-old defensive player of the year, Draymond. And honestly, just to be able to close that distance at his age, like they're insane. He was everywhere, all over the place.
You know, like I said earlier, he is the most inexplicable defensive player you're ever going to watch, because he'll be on the block, helping in the paint, on a drive, and then all of a sudden he just appears in the corner to block a three, like you're saying with Klay. Like I'm out of words to describe it. Like seriously, like, I'm trying to think of a way to perfectly describe what he did on defense tonight. It was a throwback performance by both him and Steph on both sides of the ball. And I think the biggest thing, like I said right at the top, is what they showed again tonight is that they are still good enough to get the job done if you put the right team around them. And I think where we can go from here is this might be, at this moment, the right team. They look like the best team in the West right now. And obviously OKC's injured. Obviously Phoenix has some injuries too. But if you're telling me we got to play a 7-game series against anybody in the West right now, I don't really have any fear of it.
The more I watch them, the more it makes me like you know how they're like ultra regimented about saying the pieces have to fit. The pieces have to fit. And part of me is going here like, bro, just get more talent, you know? And honestly, they're pushing me over to their side, because when you put the right pieces around Steph and Draymond, it has elevated value to just throwing talent against the board in some ways. And I actually think Trace, in some ways, is kind of the perfect example of that, because he's not had a particularly excellent season so far, but he does fill a necessary role. Him and Looney, honestly, Looney's actually been much better than he was last year, but they just fill a center role, which allows Draymond to play free safety in a way that he's not really been able to since kind of Andre Iguodala retired. And like since they basically had a dearth of wings who could just guard an island by themselves. And you see it when he's able to do what he does, which is freelance defensively. Like there's not a more disruptive defensive player maybe ever, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and so it's like one of those things. Like, is Trace a great starting center? No, but just by virtue of having someone who can play the role, you get more out of Draymond, and getting more out of Draymond's arguably more valuable than having a center, unless, of course, you're talking about like adding Jokic or something to the team.
100%. And it's not only, it takes a little bit of physical and mental pressure off of Dray early in games to have a guy like Trace next to him, or Looney. But it allows him to roam and play free safety and be super disruptive. But also later in games, he has more energy to play the 5 against a guy like Gafford or Lively. He hasn't worn himself down all night to where he's been playing the 5 for 20 to 25 minutes. And now by the end of the game, he can't make a block like that on Gafford. I mean, do we want to talk about Steph a little bit? I feel like we should. We haven't really touched on it that much
Yeah,
yet.
let's
Just
go there.
get to it. I was in the Discord with 3 minutes left. They're down 7, and everybody's freaking out a little bit. Meltdown. I'm like, just stay calm. We've been here many, many times before. Obviously, a huge DeAnthony Melton 3 to make it 112, 108. And then Steph happens, man. Like I said it on the last podcast too.
Yeah.
He is at a level in the clutch right now where every time the ball goes up, I just think it's going in. I'm already celebrating as he shoots the ball. He is. It's not going to be the same over the course of 48 minutes. At this point, he's not going to have that same output over the entire course of the game. But late in the game, I actually don't think there's anybody better in the league right now than him. In the last 5 minutes of game,
particularly since look, they have kind of I don't call it a weird roster, but it's like there's not an obvious 5 you go to. But they do have 5-man combos they can go to spread you out. And if Steph just gets the ball at the top of the key with Draymond, 1-5 pick and roll, 3 guys you can't help off of, and like none of them are Klay Thompson. But you're not helping off of Melton. You're not helping off of Wiggins to that capacity. You're not helping off Buddy. I think they went with a Moody, Melton, Wiggins, Draymond lineup at one point there. You're probably not helping off of Moody either. That sort of stuff. And that's really it. You put Steph on a 101 island. It's like, all right. If he misses, like, okay, you got lucky, right? Like it's that type of thing. And yeah, to your point, the confidence he has in those situations, it feels like in some ways he's better at 36 than he was at 26.
I think unequivocally because you've done more reps and you've built more confidence in those big moments. Like he's been there so many times. Like now he always in like the back of your mind, like as an athlete, you always want to be able to pull from something, right? Like if you've never been there before, you have nothing to pull from. But now he has not only the first set of the dynasty, but then now you have the 2022 finals where he was obviously the best player on the floor and made almost every clutch play possible. And not only that, now we have the Olympics over the summer. So anytime he gets in one of these moments, he thinks, yeah, I've done this so many times that it's second nature. And this is the stage that a MJ, a LeBron, a Kobe reaches late in their career where they're never flustered. They're never nervous in a late game situation like this. It's like practice to them. They've done it so many times that it's second nature.
I want to talk about 2 other players, and then we can move forward. DeAnthony Melton looks like his back's okay, which makes me happy. He's such a good player. Hit arguably the biggest shot of the game, biggest non-Steph shot of the game because it looked like the game was getting out of hand. He hit that shot to get him back within 4, 108, 112. Disruptive everywhere. I still think he's probably like 80%, 75% of what I expect from him in general. But he really is such a good winning player and a player who fits everything the Warriors want to do. It's not just the shooting. It's not just the defense. It's the intuitiveness to push the pace, to make the extra pass. Like he's more skilled than just kind of a 3-and-D guard in general. And I hope he stays healthy all year because I think he's going to be even better and he fits so well with this team.
Yeah. And I mean, like you're saying, I really don't think he's 100% yet. Every time he goes to the bench, he's got a heating pad on his back. Like they're clearly trying to still do some maintenance on it. But I mean, the biggest thing that I was like noticing down the stretch is, after he hits that 3, Kyrie was kind of cooking to start that fourth quarter. He's getting matchups against Pods or anybody else, and he was getting whatever he wanted. And then they put Melton back into the game. And all of a sudden, Kyrie did not want the ball anymore. He was giving it up to Luka. He was like trying to get a switch on the step, but Melton is so good at navigating screens, either sliding under it and meeting him on the other side or crawling over the top of the screen and keeping Kyrie right in front of him. And Kyrie was just giving the ball up. In a game the last couple of years, it's Dante guarding Kyrie down the stretch. Somehow like Jordan Poole gets onto him. Chris Paul somehow gets switched onto him. But tonight it's Anthony Melton, who's one of the best POA defenders in the entire NBA. And then Kyrie wants nothing to do with it. And then you end up with a hobbled Luka taking bad shots down the stretch because Melton was just so locked into guarding Kyrie. He's so important to what they want to do. And I just pray to God he stays healthy because if he does, I think really the sky's the limit for the starting 5 in the team.
Yeah, and they're missing Kyle Anderson, who also I think would have been perfect for this game. I mean, part of the reason they signed him is he's one of the better big men at switching on to Luka, which is a playoff must. It happens. It's a little bit of a neck thing. We don't need to push it in early November. Sorry, middle November, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But no, I mean, good addition. I liked the Melton signing at the time, and nothing I'm seeing right now is making me second guess myself. The other one I want to call is Buddy Hield. Buddy had a lot of key buckets when they really couldn't get anything going outside of Steph, and particularly that second unit. Second unit really struggled in the first half. It kind of held its own in the second half, but mostly just because of Buddy. And I don't know if he's going to shoot 50% from three all year. Probably unsustainable, but I don't see why this can't be sustainable in terms of the way he plays. He looks quicker than he's looking to pass. Like, this offense just suits him in a way where you're going to get the best version of Buddy. And like, he is an elite shot maker. Like, you will never take that away from him. And so he's in a role where it suits his skill set, and they need him. They needed someone other than Steph to be able to carry the offense for like a 5-minute span. And that was arguably as key of a stretch as kind of Melton hitting that shot down the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, I think you just touched on it. He has more juice off the bounce than I expected. And the biggest thing, and I think this is actually part of what defines every great Warriors team, is Buddy is comfortable in chaos. You know, when the game gets a little bit chaotic and like balls kind of getting passed everywhere, guys are cutting and moving everywhere, Buddy's very, very comfortable in that. That's how he wants to play. You know, he had a move on Lively in the first half, came down the right side, a little bit of a hesitation, got Lively in the air and went right to the rim. That play, I think, beginning of the fourth quarter, he goes left and is kind of shut off at the end of a shot clock and just kind of throws a shot up at the backboard and it goes in. And those are the type of buckets that sustain a game and make sure it doesn't get out of touch. You know what I mean? Like, you need kind of those like funky garbage buckets to stay in touch while your stars are out. And that's what he's really good at. And I mean, he's just, before the season, I was like, maybe he'll play 15, 20 minutes a game. And now I'm like, if he's only playing 20, he's not playing enough. You know, he's
get him on the floor, 28, 29. Let's go.
100%. And it's honestly what it's done. And it's made losing Klay much more palatable because he's the same level of perimeter shot maker, or very, very close. I would say he's probably a better perimeter shot maker than current Klay, not prime Klay.
Definitely
but he's
better getting off the bounce than current
way
Klay
better
still.
Getting it off the bounce. And like, his off the bounce, he's not as gifted and natural with the ball as Jordan Poole, but he has some of that same vibe and same like rhythm to his game as Poole does attacking closeouts. You know, if he catches it on the second side, he's going to create something for somebody else, or he's going to get to the rim.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we're going to get to people who want to call in on the other side here, but before we do that, I want to tell you about our friends at PrizePicks. Guys, PrizePicks is the best way to get real money action while playing sports. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awardings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible for all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 extra cash. I played Steph over on 35, which I got. Draymond over on 1.5 steals, which I felt was free money. And then I lost tonight because I kind of was a hater and I bet the under on Klay on 18.5. He cleared that. Shout out Klay. I'll give you that. You hit your shots.
That's why you got to use a flex play, man. That's why you got to use flex play.
That's true. That's true. But you know what? You can't win them all. And, you know, that's life. With that said, you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with those 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best place to get in on real money action. So, guys, it's really simple. We're just asking you, do us a favor, download the app, use the code LIGHTYEARS, and you're going to get $50 instantly when you deposit your first $5. So you just download the app, put $5 in, they give $50. You are in. All right. Let's do a little Klay Thompson talk real quick, and let's get some other people in here. What did you think of the pregame festivities? What emotions were going through you? I'm not going to lie to you. I was ready to be a hater when the whole thing started. I thought they were doing a little too much. But you know what? I'll hold my thoughts to myself. I want to hear what you have to say.
I think I was feeling the same way over the course of the day, where I'm like, this is all kind of like corny. It's this, it's that. And then, you know, Klay enters the arena and they're like all the staff and the people that work at the arena are like, you know, they're with the captain hats, whatever. I'm like, a little bit corny. But then like it all kind of started to hit me and I was like, oh man, there might be some tears coming out here. You know what I mean? Like, I think just the reality of the fact that he wasn't part of the team anymore. Like, he was entering the arena on the opponent's side. And I honestly wish the tribute video could have been longer. I think the league restricted it to 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's always
But
rules you learn about in real time. It's like a 1
yeah,
minute maximum like these videos. I'm like, who the hell makes these rules?
yeah, it's like who
Whatever.
cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, like it was like clearly an emotional night for everybody, and I think we all saw it. Klay was definitely choking back some tears, as you know,
He was trying to play it cool,
yeah,
and you could see on his face, he was just happy. He was
yeah,
just happy he
definitely.
didn't like cry or do something, kind of over the top
100%.
there.
And I think Michael Thompson did a hit on 95.7 the game today.
Sure.
And he was talking about Klay's comments the other night where he was saying, oh, like, just got to stay locked in. It's just another game. And Michael was like, you kind of have to say that as an athlete to keep yourself locked into the moment and not let it overwhelm you. And yeah, I mean, I wanted to hate, but at the end of the day, I was just, even Klay having a good game actually made me very happy. You know what? Before the game started, I kind of wanted him to play like shit. And then as the game got going and he started making shots in the beginning of that fourth quarter, he hits a three, then a layup, and then hits another three. I'm like, man, that's kind of cool. I couldn't hate anymore.
I think it played out perfectly because I went through similar emotions. I was like, you know what? I'd love him to go fucking 1 for 18 and something just like embarrassing like that. But as the game was going, I liked seeing him play what is the best version of his game right now. He played hard. He hit some shots. At a certain stretch in the fourth quarter when no one on the Warriors could get offense other than Steph and Klay was hitting a shot, I was getting that whole like, man, he couldn't have brought him back feeling going a little bit.
Totally.
But then they won, which is ultimately what makes it better. I don't know that I'd feel so good about Klay hitting those shots if they lost, to be honest with you. So
I'd be so salty.
You get the best of all worlds here. You see him. It was a super competitive game. Draymond and Steph showed up. Klay showed up, but the Warriors came away with the win at the end. I don't know. It's a scripted. It probably it checked every box.
I think it's just a microcosm of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
We touched on it, I think, at the end of the last podcast, and I expected it to be this type of game. For it to be high intensity and for Steph and Draymond to come out fully locked in with the same level of intensity as they did against Boston. And they did, and Klay too, obviously, they did not disappoint. They showed why, all three of them, they showed why they won 4 championships tonight. Because like the moment was here and they all played basically as well as any of them could. Klay missed that one shot down the stretch.
Sure.
And that made me a little bit happy that he missed that late shot. But at the end of the day, I don't think he could have played any better given, the circumstances and what he was dealing with tonight. So yeah, they're always going to hold a special place in, I think, any Golden State Warriors fans' heart for the rest of the time. Like, we're never going to see a group like this again. And I think that's really the most important thing to hit with those 3 guys. Yeah. We're going to watch this team for the next 50, 60 years. We will not get another group like this. There's nothing that will match this.
It's fact. All right, let's get to some callers here. All right, who got hitting lead off? I think we got our guy Tanish. If you will unmute himself. What's up, man? How you been?
Yo, what's up? How have you guys been?
Great mood. Hard to be in a bad mood after a game tonight, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Big difference then. I think the last time I called was, I don't know, last season. Vibes are very different right now.
9-2, man. Is this? Did you imagine this when the season started? Like, we were all a little disappointed they didn't go out and get kind of a proven star or someone like tangentially more interesting than DeAnthony Melton, and instead they've 9-2, man. Best team in the West right now.
Oh man, I think I can count my fingers. Like I would argue every time, like we don't necessarily need a star. We might be good. I didn't think we'd be this good. My guess was, I was telling my friends like we'd be like 7-4 or something right now. But hey, I'm not sure we didn't get more talent right now. Like compared to last season, like we like in terms of defensive talent, I think we made a considerable upgrade, and you can definitely see that. Like the fourth quarter of this game,
that's a good call out. People always say like, oh, we didn't get talent. They're always mean offense. There's never the thought that like adding 2 all-world defenders might make your team better.
Yeah, like we lose that game. Like we lose that game last season because Luka hits that shot. because Wiggins wasn't himself, or we get like, I don't know, Chris Paul and Luka, like he gets to switch. Like I think that was bigger than anything. Like Steph did his heroics last year too. He won like clutch player of the year, but like we lost those close games because we couldn't get a stop, and we can get a stop this year.
Yeah, and you don't have a Melton to throw on Kyrie. You know, like
Exactly.
you bring in two all defensive team guys, like Sam said, it just makes everything a lot easier for everybody. Now you're not like Steph had to guard Kyrie down the stretch a lot of times last year. A guy like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Chris Paul's out there hanging out on the wing and he's rotating the weak side and trying to block shots. So it just, I don't know, man. Like you said, the talent on defense matters a lot. And yeah, it's just the vibes are so good right now that I'm almost speechless most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, vibes are great overall. I mean, I'm hyped. I was at a bar watching the first half, and then we got down, and then I come home to the third quarter, and it was incredible. But I got a question before I head out.
Let's do it.
Do you guys think Klay wanted to hit that shot at the end that Luka took? And how do you guys think he felt about Luka taking that and missing it?
That's a good question. Obviously, he did. I'm never going to question Klay's desire to take a shot and want to be the guy who takes a shot in the big moment. That's never going away. If anything, he's the opposite. He's going to go out like the punch-drunk boxer who just doesn't want to admit his time is up. How does he feel about Luka taking it? I feel like it's one of those things where this early in the season, you're just like, hey, it's Luka. He can take the shot. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would say is
Luka versus Steph, right?
Yeah. What I would say is, Klay, get ready to learn Luka, buddy. Like, this is what you're going to be doing. That's what you're going to be doing for the rest of the season, man. Get ready to get used to standing in that corner while Luka dribbles the ball 18 times and then takes an awful shot to tie the game. And to Luka's credit, he makes it a lot of the time, but it looks a little bit different in Golden State. And I probably think there's a little bit of twinge of regret in Klay, obviously, as he's leaving the floor tonight, because he was watching the style that he played for 13 years, however long it was. And, he's standing in the corner while Kyrie and Luka dribble the air out of the ball at the end of the game. And his team ends up losing.
Appreciate you, Tanish. Have a great night. Mikas, I see you walking. I see you pacing. I don't even know where you are. I don't want to know. Actually, it's better for everyone we don't know.
I'm home. I'm chill.
We going chains out? Chains out.
We only got one on tonight, actually. But, work cut me. I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to leave at like 12:30. They cut me at 10 because I said I had to open at another job tomorrow. And you know what? I don't have to open at another job tomorrow. I was just trying to watch Klay Day. So, it was a beautiful game. It was a weird game, but it was also like one of the best regular season games of the last like 4 or 5 years. I don't really remember a time that a regular season game felt like this. I was talking to my girl, who is a huge Klay fan. She loves Klay. It's her favorite NBA player. And we were talking about who's a more emotional player, Klay or Draymond, because she said they're equally as emotional, but when Draymond plays angry or emotional, it makes him better. When Klay plays emotional, it makes him worse. My whole thing was I thought this game was going to be Klay was going to be really emotional, way in his head, was going to have a bad game. Klay actually had a great game. I was happy to see Klay have a great game, and I don't know. It was just nice to see Steph finish it off, and I don't know. I felt like Wesley Snipes in New Jack City. Like I was holding the gun, I was crying, but I just wanted to see Klay get put down. Like at the end, like I was like, oh, it's gonna end up in Klay's hands at the end, and he's either gonna hit a game tying 3 for OT, or he's gonna miss a terrible shitty shot. But I don't know. It was a marvelous game. It was beautiful. But yeah, I don't know. Who do you guys think? Dray or Claymon? Or Dray or Claymon? Jesus, I've had way too much vodka tonight. But Draymond or Klay? Who is the more emotional player? What are you guys thinking? Fucking A. So happy to be back on late years, and what a fucking game. And the Warriors, they're looking back, boys. Let's go.
They are looking back. I think I agree with your girlfriend's diagnosis here. I do think Draymond plays better angry than Klay. I think that's a correct assessment. I hadn't thought of it that way. Maybe
but they're both deeply emotional. They're like Klay is a very emotional player, and I don't think people talk about Klay as an emotional player when they talk about him. But he's very emotional. I think what this game showed, as I've been saying since 2015, it was always Steph and Draymond. When KD was here, it was always Steph and Draymond. When Klay was here with KD, when Klay was here without KD, it was always Steph and Draymond. It was always these two. They were the heart of the whole thing. It was always about them. Love Klay forever, love KD forever, love Iguodala forever, Looney. It was always Steph and Draymond. You have the best offensive player of a lifetime and the best defensive player of a lifetime. Your team's always going to be fucking Magic. We watch Magic tonight. It is what it is.
Let's get it, Mikas. Have a great evening, my man. All right, who can we get to next? We get to Paratosh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, my man?
I just wanted to ask because before I start, how does he do this on the East Coast, man? I've been here like 6 months and I already want to go back to the West Coast. But anyway, I think I wanted to start with Klay, of course. I think I agree with Sam. I think you had mentioned this last year, or was it the year before, that he's acting childish. That was the word you used. And I think Steph and Draymond are actually mad about that. I could see that in their body language today, and I think at the end of the game, Steph talked about some sound bites, and I think what he was referring to was what Klay said in the pre-games, and I think they understand why Klay had to leave. So do I, but I'm also obviously pissed because like it could have been better handled by Klay. So anyway, beyond that, what I wanted to ask is about the bench. Do you guys think the bench did not show up today, or is it just going to be this way against the better teams? Which I actually don't have a problem with, because like it's last year, Steph and Draymond would have to play heavy minutes against like the Rockets to win, and this year, if it's just the good teams, that I'm actually okay with that. You're muted, Sam. I think.
I was gonna say it's a good question, Paratosh, and we didn't really talk about it earlier, and honestly, we probably would have talked about it if they lost, but they didn't. Yeah. Paz is struggling, and I think that's kind of the key of the bench unit, because in the early part of the season, they run the offense through him. There's not really any way around it, and so in some ways, it kind of lives and dies with how he's playing. And for whatever reason, first game without the mask on tonight, he's not looking to shoot the ball at all. It's making him really one-dimensional. Everything's kind of downstream from that. So I'm personally willing to give him a little more time, because I do think he can shoot the ball and I do think he's a good player. But I don't think it's really any deeper than, look, man, if you're going to trust a guy to run the second unit and he's going to play fucking terrible, the second unit's going to fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is kind of a classic sophomore slump from Pods, and it sounds cliche, but I think there's a little bit of a book out on him now. Teams know that he doesn't want to shoot the basketball, and that is gumming up the entire second unit's offense, because he has the ball most of the time when he's out there, when he's playing with that second unit. And if he's not going to shoot the ball and his man's going to sag into the paint and isn't going to close out on him, they're not going to get paint touches. And if they can't get paint touches, it's just really hard to score the basketball. At that point, you're basically left to chuck threes and take contested ones. So it just makes it a lot tougher on everybody else if your backup point guard can't get paint touches. And they were better in the second half, but that first half was really, really ugly, and the game almost slipped away from them there, obviously. They were down 4 at halftime, and I think it was right. I think they might have gotten down 9 at some point in that first half, and most of that was on the second unit not being able to score, to generate offense. So, I mean, they're going to have to figure that part out, and maybe that just comes with cutting the rotation down, and you just kind of like – you split Stephens and Melton's minutes a little bit more, and you stagger them a little bit. Yeah. So Melton is essentially your second unit point guard, and slow-mo helps that too. No slow-mo really hurt tonight in certain moments. And he's a classic Steve Kerr wing forward. He's the Andre vibe, the Deshaun Livingston vibe. So he'll help a lot, and I think he helps calm things down for both Pods and Kuminga. But yeah, Pods is just struggling right now, and it might be time to just knock his minutes down a little bit.
Honestly, I don't really think that, like, I saw a lot of talk about the bench on Twitter, but I don't think it's really a problem if the bench is struggling against the really elite teams, because like that's what we kind of expect. It's the other teams that if the bench is and Steph doesn't have to play fourth quarters against like the bottom 5 of the league in both conferences, sure. He saves a lot of minutes. So like he has a lot left in the tank for these kind of games. So that's kind of what I was hoping from the bench, and I got that. And just one last thing, I was just thinking about the number of perimeter defenders that we can throw in these games. Like even with slow-mo out, we had GP2, we had Wiggins, we had Melton, and apparently Steph is a lockdown perimeter defender now. So it's like night and day compared to last season. And that's one of the things that I'm most thankful for.
Melton was spectacular on Kyrie late. He made Kyrie not even want the basketball. So it changes everything for them.
Appreciate the call, Paratosh. Before we move forward, let me tell you about Via.
Yeah, let's play some bills. All right, this is a new sponsor for us, guys. Via, we're super excited about them. So, need a break from the crowded stores and endless gift list? Restore your zen and embrace the natural power of hemp this holiday season with Via. This holiday season, you can unwind and recharge with Via. Whether you're enjoying a quiet evening at home or embracing the festive cheer, Via's premium THC and THC-free gummies will help you find the perfect holiday balance. So Via has all kinds of products. It's not just THC. Like I said, it's THC and THC-free. So there's some CBD in there. Like if you just want to like elevate your focus a little bit, they got THC gummies for that. If you want to relax a little bit, they got THC gummies for that. But my personal favorite so far has been their CBD Zen gummies. I take them almost every night before I go to sleep now because Via was kind enough to send us a sample pack, and they help me sleep like a baby. I'm getting 8 to 9 hours a night without an interruption right now. So their products range from 0 to 100 milligrams of THC. So these guys have you covered whether you're looking to microdose or enjoy more potent effects. So if you're 21 plus, check out our link to Via's website in our description and use the code LIGHTYEARS for 15% off. That's 15% off. Once again, the code is LIGHTYEARS. The link for Via will be in the description. Use code LIGHTYEARS for 15% off. Sam, what's your first personal favorite so far? Do you have one?
It's definitely the sleep ones. I have a hard time. I have a hard time getting a good night's sleep, and they have been very good at keeping me asleep till 5 a.m., which sadly is very good for me these days.
And you wake up feeling refreshed too. That's the crazy part.
That's the other part of it. I tend to avoid products like CBD and stuff because I hate feeling groggy the next day, but it's been 100% the opposite. So I would encourage everyone, check them out. High quality stuff, A+ presentation too.
Oh,
great on the coffee table, which is obviously the most important part.
It comes in a white box with a Via logo on the front. They put your name on there, curated for Tommy or Sam or whatever you want. So,
yeah, guys, I also want to tell you about Body Spec. Ready to kickstart your fitness journey? Whether you're an athlete, a fitness enthusiast, or just getting back in shape, Body Spec has you covered. For less than the price of a haircut, you can get a DEXA scan, the world's most accurate body composition scan. So what's a DEXA scan? A DEXA scan is a highly accurate method for measuring various aspects of your body's composition. So the most obvious one is your body fat percentage, but also bone density, lean muscle mass, and visceral fat, the fat around your organs. Traditionally, this has been only the type of thing that pro athletes do. The Warriors do it. The 49ers do it. Every sports team does it. But what Body Spec's doing is making this affordable for everyone, the weekend athlete, to do it. So transform your New Year's resolution to reality right now. You can get a DEXA scan for just $45 with the code LIGHTYEARS45. That's right. Just $45 with the code LIGHTYEARS45. Don't pay hundreds of dollars. Go to bodyspec.com. LIGHTYEARS45.
Did you check your results yet?
No comment. I'll bring it on to the pod when I'm ready to be more open. But, the Klay episode's probably going to be one of the more listened to ones. So it's not the time for me to be honest with you guys about where I'm at. All right. Let's get Francisco. Francisco, are you in Portugal?
No. Still in Brazil. I think it's
Brazil?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's 1 hour later than New York, than your Eastern time. So
it's 2 hours.
Not that bad. Yeah, or 2 hours. It's 3 a.m. here, 3:30.
We appreciate you staying up with us, man.
No problem. Well, I have to be up at 6 to get my kids to school, but I'll sleep in the morning then. But let's talk about the start, man. The start of this season is 2022 once again. Of course, there will not be 18-2 to start, but
are we sure? Are we sure?
I just checked the schedule. We'll have at Phoenix, at Denver to finish the 20-game mark, so it will be hard. But at 15-5, it will be great. And when we talk about might consolidate the rotation with trading 3-for-1, the thing is to trade to get someone, you'll need to get Wiggins, and I think people will want Kuminga in to get some value and a pick. Let's keep it at that. But the thing is, who will come? Who will want to not want? Who can they get that will make up for those two skills, the defense in Wiggins and the change of pace in Kaminga? Because if we're talking like Ingram, he will only score, he won't defend. So I don't know where that gets us. I think the solution is try to get pods to start playing basketball again, because the rotation is really solid, and when you get to the playoffs, they'll trim it down. And well, Moody won't play, of course, and you'll trim down some minutes because they might have everything, and making sure that Steph is healthy to finish these games. Okay, but the trade, the 3-for-1, I think it's going to be hard because the only big salary they have to put in is Wiggins, and I don't know if they can afford to lose that defense. Of course, Melton helps a lot, but that will be the only one that would stay that could play D, because Hield could not, of course.
I mean, I'm at the point where I wouldn't trade Wiggins. You know, I think all of us have had a very up and down relationship with Wiggins the past couple of years. Sam, you can obviously throw your thoughts in on this, but he's been, you know, his offense is always going to come and go. That's just the nature of who he is. You know, he's not a super consistent shooter. He can get hot from three, obviously. He can create a little bit in the mid range, and his finishing can be frustrating. But his defense has just been outstanding. Like they don't win that game tonight without his defense on Luka. And so it's like, I just don't know how many guys in the league are going to like put up that type of effort against the best ball handlers in the league night after night after night, especially in the playoffs, and actually be able to get the job done.
I'm going to go the opposite way of you guys. I actually feel like this team's depth is making me more emboldened to make a consolidation trade, but it has to be the right consolidation trade. So now I sound like Dunleavy, because I think they can trade Wiggins and GP2 and Looney. But if they do that, they better get a fucking star wing. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, okay, you lose GP2. Okay, Melton plays a little more. We're okay. Okay, you trade Wiggins or Kuminga. Okay, but if you get a wing back, you're just upgrading their position. Okay, you trade Looney. You got to find a big to throw in the rotation. I think they can do it because I actually think that they have 10 more or less interchangeable players, but it has to be the right player. It can't be trading that combination for a point
Ingram,
you know, yeah, or so someone who doesn't make sense. Like I was in favor of Levine. I'm less and less in favor of him because I can see how it changes the identity of the team radically, even though his offense would be very welcome on this team, right? So,
but I think his
has
offense.
To be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, but like I'm giving a total hedge answer. My point is, if the opportunity, like, would you not consolidate those guys for Jimmy Butler or for Paul George? Because are you really losing anything on defense if those guys are replacing Wiggins?
Yeah, okay. Jimmy Butler and Paul George. Yeah, but I don't. Well, Jimmy Butler is available. Okay, will not is. Well, but will
to
be
fair, I don't know.
Not is, but might be available. The thing is,
it's not the time. But my point is, I do feel like the fact that they're getting 12 solid players makes me a little more open to the concept, but it also makes me a little more picky to want it to be the right move.
Yeah. So if we're going to be picky, what is like the lowest rung of player? Like who's the lowest player you would take if you're going to trade Andrew Wiggins, let's say, because like Francisco said, he's the only big salary that they have.
I don't know. It's a tough question.
Is it at Ingram or is it above it or is it below Ingram? Like that level of player.
Ingram's the line for sure. I'm debating that one. I can argue either way on that one. I could see the case where it could work with him. I could also see the case where, okay, your offense gets 5% better, but your defense gets 5% worse. So ultimately you haven't actually gotten any better in any capacity. Definitely not advocating anything worse than that though. So
yeah,
I don't know. I still am. Look, they're winning right now. They're playing awesome basketball. I don't want to get into trade talk too much, but everything we wanted is coming together, which is they're playing well and they're putting themselves in a position where you have to entertain these conversations in January. So in 6 weeks, we will entertain these ideas. Appreciate you, Francisco.
Thanks, Francisco.
Oh, all right. SGS Sports Talk. Been patiently waiting. What's up, man?
It's great being on the show. I clicked the I'm following you on I'm following right now. I subscribed and liked on your channel.
Nice.
Love it, man.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
So I was really surprised by the game today. I mean, it was a really great game. Klay came back to Chase Center in his return. I mean, that was pretty emotional. But unfortunately, the Mavericks weren't able to get it done, and the Warriors got it done.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's a good call. Oops, I lost you. Okay, sorry. SGS. I'm sorry.
So I mean, like this was a great game. I mean, this was probably a really great game for the Warriors. Curry was hot. He had 37 points. He was I believe one rebound away from a double-double, I believe, for Steph.
Yeah.
So I mean, Steph Curry is hot, man. I mean, like it's fun to see Steph Curry get hot. You know, sometimes he's not hot. So I mean, like it really. I mean, some games are not going to go well for Steph. He's going to score like not that many points, but he scored 37 today, so that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
the perfect way to put it is that obviously Steph is a jump shooter. He's going to have hot and cold nights, but when he gets hot like that, there's no show like it in sports to this day. There really isn't. He's the best show in sports that still exists.
And
appreciate you, man.
I'm always going to be a big fan of your channel. I hope other people also click the like and subscribe for your channel as well. Just to show love and support to your channel. Get a lot of callers on here, man. But I'm happy I came and checked your channel out, man. I love all your content, all your videos, man. I love everything you do on the channel. Just have me on anytime you like, man. I would like to come on here and share my thoughts on the Warriors.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great evening. Nice. Ebony.
Yo.
What's going on, Ebony?
What's up? Sorry, usually we have you hit lead off, but making you hit farther down in the lineup today. How you doing?
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm good, man. I'm good. First off, Klay walks out. I'm like, oh man. Hated the hats. It was corny. And then the TNT crew had it, and I was like, that definitely ruined it. But I just want to say, man, watching Steph get that excited to beat Klay has got to be like top 3 moments of his career. Like, he doesn't get that hype beating anyone, not even Boston. Like, his celebration in Boston was one thing in 22, but this kind of stomped that for me just because, like, there was the chest beating, there was the pointing at the Golden State jersey, and like, it just kind of was a step further. Like, this is where it's at kind of thing. So I don't know. I just had an appreciation for that. Go ahead.
Over under, how much shit is he talking in the group chat about Klay right now?
I think it's under, and here's why. I think Steph was way more hurt about Klay leaving than he's letting on. And
agreed.
Like, their interactions were so short the entire night. Like, I don't know if anyone's mentioned that, but it's been nothing more than a tap, truthfully. And I mean, I just think he's more hurt than anything else, and he's not going to say anything more than play his game, especially when it comes to Klay, because he still loves him and it's his brother, but publicly, like, he's just not going to do more than is absolutely necessary. He doesn't even really comment on him either, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the shit talking is happening in the group chat. I think it's just Steph and Draymond going back and forth. I think it's just those two going. I think it's just those two. They don't.
Yeah.
Look, I don't.
Melton doesn't need to know about it. It's
no.
Like, sorry, Slow-mo, you're cool and all, but you're not on the inner circle right now.
I just don't think they'd ever disrespect him in front of anybody else. But between the two of them, you could tell how bad they wanted that game tonight. Obviously, and maybe the only other person included in that string of texts is Steve. That'd be the only other guy that might get an inclusion in that.
Looney?
Maybe Loon. But Loon's just like Loon's such a quiet guy that I don't know. I don't know.
Loon's just watching the thread, man. He's just watching the thread. He
Yes.
might even have it on mute because he,
Yep.
he still loves Klay. But I think he's in the
I think
he's in the chat.
Loon's like a ghost liker. Like
Yeah.
you look at the group chat and he's just
Exactly.
like, wait, he liked that comment from 2 days ago. What the fuck? You know,
Throwing a ha-ha in there, a thumbs up
Yeah.
just every once in a while. It's like, Loon, are you still
Exactly.
alive?
Exactly. But just some other things I wanted to just touch on real quick. When slow-mo is not playing, it is so noticeable. Like, there are just dudes that nobody, even Melton, can guard but him. And so, like, watching Jonathan Kuminga try to guard Luka was, like, painful at times. Not because he was, letting him blow by him, but Luka is a veteran and JK is still trying to figure out how to move his feet sometimes. So I don't know. Just something I noticed. Pods is pretty much terrible if slow-mo's not out there. I don't know if anyone noticed, like, they're always messing with the lineups, and I think those two kind of have to play with each other, or else Pods is indecisive. Like, we watched him literally dribble at the end of the shot clock, go up to shoot it, hesitate, and then pass it to someone who wasn't ready to shoot. And it was like, and he was wide open. So I don't know. You watch these things and like Moody is playing like he actually belongs in a playoff lineup, and Pods isn't, but Pods is getting more minutes than him. It's just these kind of things I think Steve Kerr will clean up within the next like month or two, especially watching like the cup play out. Just things I noticed.
NBA Cup, baby. All right.
The Emirates Cup. The Emirates Cup.
Are we calling it the Cup or the NBA Cup?
The
Because
NBA is demanding
It's
that.
just the NBA Cup. I can barely pronounce the word yeah, so but last thing I wanted to say, that had to be the most entertaining game in like 5 years.
Yes.
I mean, finals put together and everything. And then you were talking about trades. So I think Giannis is about to ask out of Milwaukee.
I'm skeptical
I don't
any
know about
of that
that.
happens in the short term.
Dame's
Yo,
gone
but that's
first.
looking real ugly over there. Like, I think his bandwidth is much shorter than people think, and I could see him possibly ending up on the Warriors. If he did, what players are we willing to let go of, and who's an absolute keep based on his skill set, which I don't think is all that high, except for running and dunking. But
for Giannis,
yeah,
everybody besides Steph and Draymond can go.
For
Giannis,
real?
Giannis is one of the best 5 players on planet Earth. And I know, like you said, there are limitations to his skill set. He can't shoot the basketball. And, there's certain things that he doesn't do great, but he's one of the best defensive players on the planet. And if you put him and Draymond together on defense, as long as you have any type of perimeter defense to go along with that, you're going to have a top 5 defense in the world. And him just playing off of a Steph Curry pick and roll would manufacture 30 points a game, 40 points a game.
Yeah, he's averaging like 13 and 5 right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not honestly, I'm not a huge
Mm.
fan of his style either.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it's not my favorite, but like he is, it's not a question for me.
But here's my thing. If Giannis was to come to the Warriors, we've watched him for maybe 3-4 years now bring the ball up the court and try to initiate offense. And if he does that with the Warriors, like with any Warriors lineup that we currently have, if you insert him, pick one and insert him, like I would literally scream because he cannot handle the ball. So I don't know. That's my hesitation.
I see this comment, people saying everyone said that about Giannis and Dame too. I have 2 things to say. Dame is not Stephen Curry. Stop it. This is like saying actually, I'm not going to go down the disrespectful route, but Dame's not Steph Curry. 2, Steve Kerr is a significantly better coach than Doc Rivers or Adrian Griffin. And I think that matters because I think they would actually get on Giannis to do the little things to make the Warrior system run. Whereas in Milwaukee, he just kind of gets to do what he wants right now in some ways. So.
He's kind of like Trae Young in Atlanta.
It's
But in
trending that way.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Steph has a level of respect that probably only two other guys in the entire NBA have in terms of
Mm,
in the fraternity of players. It's Steph and it's LeBron and it's KD. You know, guys respect Dame, but they don't respect him like Steph. Not at
no.
this point. So, you know, and it would be Giannis coming to Steph's team. Giannis doesn't run the show anymore. In Milwaukee, he's running everything. Here, he wouldn't be running everything, and he'd kind of have to fall in line with Steph.
True. Well, thanks. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Ebony.
Appreciate you, Ebony. Oh no, we got Tommy Gunn's little brother.
What's up, guys? First time caller, first time real caller. What's up, Sam? I've never actually gotten to say what's up to you, but I listen to you for, I don't know, 5 years now.
That's miserable for you, but anyway, appreciate it.
It's great. First of all, I can't believe Steph is still this good, even for a small guard. We all know it's different for him. So it's crazy, though, to watch. He's been the best show in sports for 10 years. I mean, what, like legitimately 10 years. It's him and Mahomes, in my opinion. Do we think Steph hates Klay like a little bit? Like a little bit?
Yes.
Like,
In the same, hey Matt,
so it reminds me
in the same way that I hate you.
So yeah, okay. It reminds me of Tommy wanting to kick my ass, like the same like brotherly hate. Like we would have a similar like, and you know what's funny? Everyone's gonna think, oh, you're about to get flamed for this. Me and Tommy, our styles of playing basketball is wildly similar to Steph and Klay. Let me be so clear when I say this. Let me be so clear. Let me be so clear when I say this. We are the worst versions of all time. But like, I'm a spot-up shooter, and Tommy's like a guard that like shoots off the dribble
and throws dumb turnovers.
So like, we have the funny. Like, I just see he hates him a little bit, like a tiny bit.
Yeah, but I don't think he hates him for his game. I think he hates him for, and hate's gonna be misinterpreted, but
it's not.
I think there's a little okay. But I just want you to know your place a little bit here.
Yeah, for sure. And like little things like, and maybe I'm misguided on this. Steph's like making it a point to really love Buddy, like really love him, like resentfully love him. And it's like, yeah, like we don't miss you that much, Klay. And again, like I know he does miss him. It's kind of like the whole point, but it's and don't get me wrong. I think Buddy's been incredible this year, but it feels like a little bit resentful. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Do you think that's what's guiding Steph's like outward love? Like every time Buddy hits a big shot, do you think that's actually what's guiding it?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like. I think just subconsciously he's like, my brother left me, so he's like hurt by it. Honestly, that's how I think about it, like in those terms. But yeah, it's just funny to watch for me. And then like a thing that I felt today, which I never thought I'd feel this way. I like hated Klay tonight, and like he's probably one of my favorite players ever. But I like felt weird, like I hated him, and I think that's good. Like that's why sports are amazing, is because he's so competitive that like he makes me hate him, and that's why we watch, right? Like I'm like, fucking Klay, like you're not gonna beat the Warriors, you're not beating my team, and it's. That was like a weird thing for me to feel. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, and like you said, that's what makes sports great in a way. And it was like I couldn't believe that Klay hit the three to start the fourth, and then made the layup, and then hit another three. It's like,
I thought he was going to hit the last one.
I was like, God damn! I was like, is he really doing this right now? Because it felt like every big moment for the past year and a half, Klay had kind of like shit the bed. In a way, but tonight, like all of a sudden, he's just making every big shot.
And then Steph was a little bit shaky in that. I mean, I was texting you, Tommy. I was worried about Steph early in that fourth quarter. I'm like, really? The last thing, because I'm taking too much time. We have to trade Kuminga. This is such a polarizing topic.
Not tonight. I
don't understand this. He doesn't fit. He doesn't fit stylistically.
Nothing's happening for another 30 games. Just enjoy the Kuminga show for another 30 games.
Let's have this conversation in January.
Just do what I do, which is like every time he has a good game, I'm like, Like going against all my good judgment that it's going to work because I just saw a dunk. You know, just lie to yourself. It's the way to go.
Anyways, good to finally get a call in. Sam, it's nice to meet you even over the computer, but appreciate you guys.
Thanks for
appreciate you, man. Call again. Who else we got here? Oh, we got to end. The pastor's been warming up. I think he threw out his arm in the bullpen.
I might have. I started drinking here. I think I ran a little low. Had to break out the George Teague. This was a celebratory night. Klay Thompson's coming in here. We all should be tipping our drinks to Klay and for all his years of service. Phenomenal. We love you, Klay. You're the best. And I'm so glad we kicked your ass. There we go. It was great. We were all happy that you were going to take the shots. What was Jason Kidd doing? He's like, why don't I take my two best players with 4 minutes to go and bench them? Just put them on the bench for a minute. Like, that killed them. Them. He got caught up in the moment and wanted Klay to be the one that buried us. And Klay couldn't do it because that's just not who he is anymore. He used to. I mean, a long time ago, he would do that all the time. And in fact, it looked like he was going to do it this game because he was on a heater for a little bit. But we've got one of the greatest players of all time in Steph Curry, who came through and just slammed the door. And that's what we should be talking about. I don't want to hear all this stuff. Oh, hey, Klay's here. Steph Curry came out and said, this is my team. This is my arena. This isn't like the arena that Kevin Durant built. This is my place. I came out here and I own this. And Dray came out here and said, you know what? And I got your back at all times, and I'm going to play like a maniac. And I've said this, and I've said this on the calls many times. The best Draymond is an angry Draymond. I said it after he punched Poole. I said it all the time. The best Draymond is the angry Draymond, because that guy then gives a shit. When he gives a shit, you get one of the best defenders of all time, like Pippen level, but for a center, but like Pippen level stuff that you don't realize how good it is until many years later, just how crazy he is. And when we were talking about teams, this reminds me of the 14-15 team. That team had all these little pieces, and it's not because they have the same type and that was young Steph and all that stuff, but it's because they mixed and matched all these. And they could bring Barbosa off the bench. They could do all these things. They had Livingston off the bench. They could mix and match. They could go with They didn't start Iggy. They didn't start Iggy. They started Bogut. Right? They had Mo Spates on the bench hitting jumpers, and we were all losing our minds because we'd see him in the streets of San Francisco 2 and 3 in the morning later on, and we just oh, hey, that's freaking Mo Spates. And it was crazy times. And I feel like the same vibe with this team, where the league was sleeping on that team because we hadn't done anything in the playoffs yet. Now it's been a while with this team because we're older, and now we're just punching them in the face. And we're just going to keep punching them in the face. And we're going to do that to the Grizzlies coming up here. We're going to be 2-0 in the Silly Cup. And then we're going to come in and we're going to smack down the Hawks as well. We're going to go on another little run, and it's going to be great. And we should all be stoked for that. And, again, tip of the cap to you, Klay. It's been great having you here. It's fun to see you once or twice a year. And I can't wait for the 5th ring fit. It's going to be awesome. Too bad you don't get one.
Mick Walter always bringing the heat. Always.
Appreciate you, buddy. Have a great evening. I think we should end it on that. That's Mick Walter's the ultimate closer. We're gonna end on
every
that.
time. Mariano Rivera.
Appreciate everyone. We'll be back
everybody.
after the next game, as you know.